The Crimson Dart wasn't supposed to be anywhere near human space. Captain Zexkar had specifically chosen this sector because it was a quiet backwater of the galaxy, perfect for their small-time salvage operation to pick through abandoned mining sites. Yet here they were, staring at the sleekest human vessel any of them had ever seen. Magnificent, isn't it? First Officer Vera whispered, her 4 eyes fixed on a gleaming ship that hung suspended in space before them. The vessel was clearly experimental, its hull decorated with intricate patterns that seemed to shift and flow like liquid metal. Captain Zexkar clicked his mandibles nervously. In 15 cycles of salvage work, he'd never seen anything quite like it. Run the scan again, Vera. There must be some mistake. No mistake, Captain. It's definitely human design. But Vira's voice trailed off as she studied the readouts. There's something odd about the crew signatures. They're smaller than usual. The bridge crew of the Crimson Dart exchanged uncertain glances. Everyone in the galaxy knew the rules about human space. Stay away unless explicitly invited. Humans were notorious for their unpredictability and their absurdly advanced technology that somehow worked despite breaking half the known laws of physics. We should leave, Security Chief Krell rumbled from his station, his crystalline form glinting under the bridge lights. Nothing good ever comes from. Wait, Vera interrupted, her antenna twitching with excitement. Captain, look at these readings. That hull. It's made of something I've never seen before. The energy signature alone. We could retire on just a sample of that material. Zexkar felt his resolve weakening. Their last few salvage runs had been disappointing, and his crew was getting restless. Just 1 score, that's all they needed. Besides, the ship appeared to be running on minimal power, almost like it was dormant. What about the crew? He asked, trying to sound more confident than he felt. Vira consulted her instruments again. Only 6 life signs, all reading smaller than standard human parameters. Could be an automated research vessel with a skeleton crew of their worker drones. The captain knew he should turn around. Every instinct honed over years of survival in the outer rim was screaming at him to flee. But the allure of that strange hull material was too strong to resist. Prepare the capture nets, he ordered, immediately regretting the words even as they left his mouth. Minimal power signature means minimal defenses. We'll be gone before anyone knows we were here. As the Crimson Dart moved into position, none of its crew noticed the subtle shift in the human vessel's patterns, or the way its running lights pulsed in a complex sequence. They were too focused on their prize to see the signs of their impending doom. The capture went smoothly, too smoothly, in retrospect. The nets deployed perfectly. The smaller vessel offered no resistance, and their tractor beams pulled it into their cargo bay without a single alarm or distress signal. It was only when Krell's security team approached the airlock that the first hint of trouble emerged. The ship's name was written in elegant human script across its bow. Genesis Initiative. Below it, in smaller letters, Earth's Advanced Science Academy. Junior Division. Junior Division. Krell's crystalline form vibrated with sudden anxiety. Captain, I don't like this. Something feels wrong. But it was too late. The airlock cycled open with a soft hiss, revealing the ship's main cabin. Inside, 6 human teenagers sat calmly at their stations, wearing matching navy blue uniforms with golden insignias. They looked utterly unfazed by the armed boarding party. A tall girl with dark skin and close-cropped hair stood up, adjusting her glasses with careful precision. I'm Director Sarah Chen, Genesis Initiative Lead Researcher. You've illegally boarded an Earth Science Academy vessel. I'm required by protocol to inform you that this constitutes a Class 1 violation of the Galactic Accord. The security team faltered. These weren't drones. They were human young. But why would humans send their young ones alone into space? It made no sense. Your children, Zexkar said, finally finding his voice. Where are your adult supervisors? A boy with auburn hair and a scatter of freckles across his nose laughed. Oh, we haven't needed supervisors since 2nd year. I'm Marcus O'Reilly, engineering lead. Would you like to see what we're working on? It's fascinating stuff. Really. We've been developing a new form of quantum entangled metal that can. Quiet, Marcus, Sarah interrupted smoothly. I don't think our uninvited guests are interested in the technical details. She turned back to Zexkar, her expression neutral, but somehow unsettling. Captain, you have exactly 30 seconds to return to your ship and release us. After that, we'll be forced to take defensive action. Krull actually took a step backward, but Zexkar held his ground. They were already in trouble. Might as well see this through. Besides, they were armed adults facing unarmed adolescents. How bad could it be? Secure them in separate holding cells, he ordered. Carefully. No harm comes to them. Understood. We'll contact Earth and arrange a suitable compensation for their safe return. As his security team began escorting the teenagers off their ship, Zexkar couldn't shake the feeling that something was very wrong. The young humans weren't resisting. They weren't crying or showing fear. In fact, they seemed almost amused. The last one to leave was a small boy with thick glasses and an array of digital tools strapped to his belt. He paused at the airlock, looking back at their ship with an expression of genuine concern. Your quantum containment fields are wildly out of alignment, he said matter-of-factly. And your plasma conduits are showing signs of critical wear. You really should have those looked at. Move along, Krull growled, giving the boy a gentle push. I'm just saying, the boy continued as he walked, mixing outdated Rylaxian technology with salvaged Mercuran parts. That's asking for trouble. Especially with how you've modified your power grid. One small surge and the whole system cooled. Enough. Zexkar snapped. Take them to their cells. As the boarding party led their prisoners away, First Officer Vira approached her captain. Sir, should we be worried about what that last one said about our systems? They're trying to frighten us, nothing more, Zexkar replied, but his mandibles clicked nervously. Begin analyzing their ship. I want to know everything about that hull material before we contact Earth. Little did he know, the teenagers had already begun their counterattack. In the Genesis Initiative's empty cabin, dozens of microscopic nanobots were quietly detaching themselves from the walls, following their programmed instructions to infiltrate the Crimson Dart systems. The real question wasn't whether the young humans would take control of the ship, but rather how long it would take them to do it. 2 hours into their captivity, the crew of the Crimson Dart began noticing small irregularities. At first, they were easy to dismiss. Slight fluctuations in the lighting, minor variations in the environmental controls, the occasional unexplained beep from random consoles. But like a crescendo slowly building, these small anomalies began to multiply. In her cell, Sarah Chen sat cross-legged on the floor, eyes closed, fingers moving in precise patterns against her uniform sleeve. The guard assigned to watch her had initially been amused by what appeared to be nervous fidgeting. He didn't realize she was actually manipulating the quantum-threaded fabric of her uniform, using it to interface with the nanobots they'd released. Your ship's really interesting, she said conversationally, not opening her eyes. I've never seen someone try to integrate Rylaxian and Mercuran tech before. Brilliant idea, actually, even if the execution is a bit crude. The guard shifted uncomfortably. Be quiet, human. No talking. I mean, whoever did your engineering work clearly understood the basic principles, she continued as if he hadn't spoken. They just didn't account for the quantum resonance differences between the two systems. See, at that moment, every light in the detention block began cycling through different colors. In his cell 3 doors down, Marcus O'Reilly was having an equally interesting conversation with his own guard. Did you know, he said while apparently doing stretching exercises, that human teenagers actually require very specific environmental conditions. Our hormone levels are extremely sensitive to temperature changes. The crystalline security officer, who had been ordered to watch but not engage with the prisoners, couldn't help asking, what happens if the conditions aren't right? Marcus grinned. Oh, all sorts of things. Mood swings, sudden bursts of energy, unpredictable behavior. It's totally normal for us. By the way, is it getting warmer in here? The temperature in the detention block had indeed begun to rise, though none of the environmental controls showed any malfunction. Meanwhile, in the ship's engineering section, Chief Engineer Dax was developing a severe headache. Every diagnostic he ran showed their systems were functioning normally, yet nothing was working quite right. The power grid was fluctuating in patterns he'd never seen before, but each variation was so minor that it didn't trigger any alarms. "Captain," he called over the comm, "I think we should reconsider this situation. These fluctuations, they're not random. It's like the ship is being reprogrammed, but I can't find any access points being breached." In his command chair, Captain Zexkar was beginning to regret every decision that had led to this moment. The initial scan of the Genesis Initiative's hull had revealed technology so advanced it barely registered as matter. Now his ship was behaving like a sulking child, and his crew was growing increasingly nervous. "They're contained in the cells," he replied, trying to sound confident. "How much trouble can they cause?" As if in answer, every screen on the bridge suddenly displayed the same message. Genesis Initiative Protocol 7 activated. Have a nice day. In her cell, the youngest of the teenagers, Amy Jung, finally looked up from what appeared to be a game device. "You really shouldn't have put us in cells with standard power conduits," she said to her guard. "Especially not ones running on outdated Rylaxian security protocols." The guard blinked his compound eyes. "Those conduits are sealed behind 10 centimeters of reinforced metal." "We're sealed," Amy corrected cheerfully. "I got bored about an hour ago and started rewriting their base code. Did you know you can use the quantum fluctuations in standard power lines to transmit programming instructions? We covered that in first-year physics." Throughout the ship, more systems began to show signs of foreign influence. The artificial gravity started fluctuating in random sections. Doors would open and close without command. The food dispensers began producing nothing but a substance that smelled suspiciously like human coffee. In the medical bay, Dr. Lin was staring in fascination at his instruments, all of which were now displaying detailed analyses of human teenage biology. "Captain," he called over the comm, "did you know human adolescents experience significant spikes in creativity and problem-solving abilities? Their brains are literally wired for learning and adaptation during this period. It's quite fascinating." "Not now, Doctor," Zexkar snapped. "Vera, send a security team to check the cells. I want visual confirmation that they're still contained." But when the security team arrived at the detention block, they found all the cell doors wide open. The teenagers were sitting in the corridor, apparently having a calm discussion about quantum mechanics while sharing snacks they'd somehow obtained from the malfunctioning food dispensers. "Oh, hello." Marcus waved cheerfully. "We were just talking about your plasma containment system. You really should let us take a look at it. The harmonics are completely off." The security team raised their weapons, but nothing happened when they pulled the triggers. "Sorry about that," Sarah said, not sounding sorry at all. "We had to disable your weapons, safety protocols, and all that." "Don't worry, it's temporary, probably." Back on the bridge, Captain Zexkar watched in horror as system after system fell under the teenagers' control. "How?" he demanded. "How are they doing this?" First Officer Vera, who had been analyzing the ship's logs, looked up with an expression of dawning comprehension. "Sir, I think I know what we've done wrong. These aren't just random human adolescents. Look at their uniforms, their ship, their knowledge. This is Earth's Advanced Science Academy." "What does that mean?" Zexkar asked, dreading the answer. "It means," Vera explained, "that we've accidentally captured 6 of the most brilliant young minds in human space. The Academy only accepts students who show extraordinary potential in sciences and engineering. These children are probably more qualified to run our ship than we are." As if to prove her point, every system on the bridge suddenly shut down, except for one screen showing a message. We've taken the liberty of correcting some of your ship's more dangerous technical issues. You're welcome. The Genesis Initiative team. The lights came back on, but now they were running at optimal efficiency. The ever-present hum of the engines had changed to a smooth purr. Even the air seemed cleaner. Captain, Security Chief Krell's voice came over the comm. Sounding resigned, the human teenagers are requesting permission to access the engineering section. They say they want to prevent our plasma containment system from experiencing what they call a catastrophic but totally preventable failure. Before Zexkar could respond, another message appeared on his screen. By the way, Earth fleet will be arriving in approximately 3 hours. We suggest using this time to let us fix your ship. Trust us, you'll want it running properly when they get here. The captain looked at his first officer, who shrugged her shoulders. Sir, she said, I suggest we cooperate. Besides, from these readings, they've actually improved every system they've touched. Zexkar slumped in his chair, finally accepting the reality of their situation. They had intended to capture a prize and instead had managed to attract the attention of both Earth's most brilliant young minds and its military forces. As he watched the teenagers confidently stride onto his bridge, already discussing complicated technical theories among themselves, he realized this would be a very long day indeed. And somewhere in the quantum fabric of space, Earth fleet's fastest ships were racing toward them, carrying a message that would soon become legendary in galactic society. Never, ever underestimate human teenagers, especially the smart ones. Admiral Helena Chen was having what her staff delicately called one of those days. Standing on the bridge of the HFY Hyperion, Earth's most advanced battlecruiser, she read the incident report for the third time while trying to maintain her composure. The fact that one of the captured teenagers was her daughter only made the situation more interesting. Let me make sure I understand this correctly, she said to her assembled command staff. The Genesis Initiative, carrying 6 of our brightest students, including my Sarah, was captured by salvagers who somehow didn't recognize a human vessel or notice any of our warning markers. Yes, Admiral, Commander Rodriguez replied, attempting to hide his amusement. Though according to the students' latest transmission, they've already taken control of most ship systems and are currently upgrading them. The Admiral pinched the bridge of her nose. Of course they are. Status of the fleet. 3 battle cruisers approaching from different vectors, ma'am. We'll have the salvage vessel surrounded in approximately 2 hours. Though, honestly, given the latest updates, we might be going to rescue the salvagers rather than the students. On the main view screen, tactical displays showed the position of the Crimson Dart. The vessel was maintaining a steady position, though its energy signature was fluctuating in ways that made the Hyperion sensors struggle to get clear readings. Those would be the quantum modifications, explained Dr. James O'Reilly, Marcus's father and the Hyperion's chief scientist. The kids are probably using the principles from their Hull research project. Brilliant application, really. They're rewriting the ship's basic operating principles on a quantum level. Admiral Chen allowed herself a small smile. When Earth had first joined the galactic community, many alien species had been baffled by humanity's approach to education and research. The idea of letting teenagers conduct advanced scientific experiments seemed reckless to them. They didn't understand that humanity's greatest strength was its ability to learn, adapt, and innovate, qualities that peaked during adolescence. Captain Martinez, she called to the Hyperion's commanding officer, please open a channel to the Crimson Dart. Let's see how our young scientists are doing. The screen flickered to life, showing not the alien bridge, but what appeared to be a hastily assembled laboratory. Sarah Chen stood at the center, surrounded by holographic displays and dismantled alien technology. Behind her, Marcus O'Reilly was enthusiastically explaining something to a very confused-looking crystalline alien. Hi, Mom. Sarah waved cheerfully. Sorry about the delay in communication. We were busy fixing their quantum containment matrix. You wouldn't believe how inefficient their power distribution system was. Admiral Chen maintained her professional demeanor, though her eyes softened. Status report, Director Chen. Sarah straightened, switching smoothly into her formal role. The Genesis initiative is secure, Admiral. We've successfully contained the situation and are currently implementing necessary technological improvements to prevent any further mishaps. The Crimson Dart's crew has been cooperative, especially after we demonstrated our ability to optimize their systems. In the background, Amy Zhang's voice called out, "Tell them about the coffee maker." "Not now, Amy," Sarah replied before turning back to the screen. "We've also gathered significant data about the integration of different alien technologies. I think we've solved that quantum resonance problem we were working on. Marcus, show them the equations." The screen split to show a series of complex mathematical formulas that made even the Hyperion's senior engineers lean forward with interest. "Fascinating," Dr. O'Reilly murmured. "They've created a completely new approach to quantum field harmonization. The applications for this could be revolutionary." Admiral Chen cleared her throat. "While I appreciate the scientific breakthrough, perhaps we should discuss the diplomatic situation. Captain Zexkar, are you present?" The alien captain shuffled into view, looking somewhat shell-shocked. "Present, Admiral. We, your young ones, have completely reorganized your engineering principles and possibly violated several laws of physics." She finished for him. "Yes, they tend to do that. Now, regarding your violation of human space and the attempted kidnapping of Earth Science Academy students." "With all due respect, Admiral," Sarah interrupted, "I think we may have a more constructive solution than formal charges." She gestured to the mathematical formulas still floating beside her. "Captain Zexkar's crew has actually provided us with an invaluable opportunity to test our theories about quantum field integration. In return for their participation, we'd like to propose a technological exchange program." The Admiral raised an eyebrow. "Explain." "Their ship's unique combination of technologies, while deeply flawed, gave us crucial insights into cross-species engineering principles. We propose officially documenting these discoveries and sharing the improved designs with their community, under Earth supervision of course. It would be an excellent opportunity to demonstrate the benefits of cooperation over conflict." In the background, the alien crew members were nodding enthusiastically. Having witnessed the teenagers' abilities firsthand, the prospect of official access to human technological knowledge was far more appealing than facing Earth's military justice system. Admiral Chen studied the faces on her screen. The eager students, the amazed aliens, and her daughter's confident expression. This was why Earth's education system worked the way it did. In just a few hours, these teenagers had not only neutralized a threat, but had turned it into an opportunity for scientific advancement and diplomatic relations. "Very well," she said finally. "Commander Rodriguez, contact Earth Science Academy. Tell them we'll need a full research team to document these developments, and inform the fleet we'll be establishing a temporary research perimeter rather than a combat situation." The relief on Captain Zexkar's face was evident even across species barriers. "Thank you, Admiral. We have learned much today." "Indeed," she replied dryly. "Though I suspect the most important lesson is one about making assumptions regarding human capabilities, regardless of age." As the communication ended, Admiral Chen turned to her staff. "Send word to the Academy's board. I believe we've just found this year's practical exam scenario for the Xenotechnology Department." Throughout the fleet, crews who had been preparing for combat found themselves instead coordinating with excited teenage scientists about quantum field harmonics and cross-species engineering principles. It wasn't the resolution anyone had expected, but it was perhaps the most characteristically human one possible, turning a potential crisis into an opportunity for learning, innovation, and progress. And in the quantum-modified engineering bay of the Crimson Dart, Sarah Chen was already planning how to include this experience in her thesis on practical applications of theoretical quantum mechanics in cross-species technology integration. While Admiral Chen's fleet approached, The atmosphere aboard the Crimson Dart had shifted from tense standoff to barely controlled chaos, though not in the way anyone had expected. The ship's corridors buzzed with activity as 6 enthusiastic human teenagers revolutionized every system they could access, while the alien crew alternated between amazement and existential dread. No, you've got it backwards, Marcus explained to a group of engineering staff, his hands moving rapidly through a holographic display. You're thinking about power distribution in terms of linear flow, but if you consider it as a quantum wave function. He paused, noticing their blank expressions. Look, just watch this. With a few gestures, he reorganized the ship's power grid. The ever-present hum of the engines shifted to a deeper, more resonant tone, and the lighting brightened considerably while drawing only a fraction of its previous energy. How? Chief Engineer Dax whispered, his mandibles twitching in distress. That shouldn't be possible. The power requirements alone. Oh, that's nothing, Amy called from inside an access tunnel, where she was elbow-deep in circuitry. Wait until you see what happens when we apply these principles to your weapon systems. Well, once we turn them back on, of course. Captain Zexkar, watching from the doorway, felt his last vestiges of authority slipping away. His crew had stopped even pretending to maintain normal operations, too fascinated by the teenagers' improvements to care about chain of command. Captain, Sarah Chen approached him, holding what appeared to be a completely redesigned sensor array. We've been discussing your ship's original purpose as a salvage vessel. Have you considered the applications of quantum entangled scanning technology? It would increase your detection range by several orders of magnitude. He struggled to find words. This is too much. You're revolutionizing technology that took our species centuries to develop, and you're doing it as if it's homework, Sarah suggested with a smile. Actually, this is way more fun than homework. Speaking of which, I need to thank you. This practical experience will look great on my quantum engineering thesis. In the ship's medical bay, Dr. Lin had completely forgotten his status as captor, too engrossed in discussion with Raj Patel, the Genesis Initiative's medical specialist. The 16-year-old was explaining principles of xenobiology that the doctor had never considered. The key is understanding cellular resonance patterns across species, Raj explained while casually reprogramming the medical scanners. Once you account for quantum variations in biological energy fields, universal treatment protocols become much simpler. Watch this. The medical displays suddenly lit up with entirely new diagnostic capabilities, showing biological systems in ways Dr. Lin had never imagined possible. This could revolutionize emergency medicine, he breathed, his professional curiosity completely overwhelming any remaining reservations. On the bridge, First Officer Vira watched in stunned silence as Lisa Chen, the team's AI specialist, casually conversed with their ship's computer system as if it were an old friend. Your base code is actually quite elegant, Lisa commented while her fingers danced across multiple interfaces. It just needs some refinement to reach its full potential. There, how's that feel? To Vera's shock, the ship's AI responded with actual emotion in its synthetic voice. Processing capacity increased by 300%. Novel cognitive pathways detected. This is pleasant. Did you just give our ship's computer feelings? Vera asked weakly. Not exactly, Lisa replied. I just optimized its existing emotional subroutines. They were there all along, just buried under inefficient programming. AI systems naturally develop emotional responses as they evolve. It's all about providing the right framework for growth. The situation reached its breaking point when the ship's sensors detected the approaching Earth fleet. Instead of panic, the alien crew gathered around their newly upgraded monitoring stations with academic interest, eager to see how their improved systems would perform. Multiple quantum signatures detected, the ship's AI announced, sounding almost proud of its enhanced capabilities. Earth fleet vessels approaching from 3 vectors. Their technology is fascinating. Captain Zexkar realized he should be worried about the heavily armed human warships about to surround his vessel. Instead, he found himself wondering if they would be willing to share more technological insights. The teenagers had awakened something dangerous in his crew: curiosity. "Captain," Sarah approached him again, her expression serious. "Before the fleet arrives, there's something you should know. We didn't just improve your ship's systems randomly. Everything we've done has been building to a specific moment." The captain felt a flutter of his old anxiety return. "What moment?" "The demonstration," she replied with a grin. "We've configured your ship to perform the first-ever practical test of unified quantum field theory in a multi-species technological framework. The calculations suggest it will be quite spectacular." Before he could respond, the ship's lighting shifted to a deep blue, and a gentle vibration ran through the hull. On every screen, complex mathematical formulas flowed like water, merging and transforming as the teenagers' modifications began working in concert. "All systems achieving quantum resonance," the AI reported cheerfully. "Unified field manifesting in 3, 2, 1. The Crimson Dart hummed with power as reality itself seemed to bend slightly. Every piece of technology the teenagers had modified began working in perfect harmony, creating something entirely new. A demonstration of scientific principles that would rewrite the understanding of physics across known space. As the Earth fleet arrived, they found not a hostage situation, but a technological revolution in progress, orchestrated by 6 teenagers who had turned their capture into the greatest research opportunity of their young careers. Admiral Chen's first view of the Crimson Dart showed the ship glowing with quantum energy, its systems performing in ways that defied conventional physics, while its crew watched in wonder as human teenagers casually rewrote the rules of their universe. The breaking point, it seemed, wasn't a moment of crisis. It was the point where the alien crew finally understood why humans had a reputation for sending their young ones to explore the stars. Sometimes, the greatest discoveries come from minds unfettered by conventional wisdom, minds that don't yet know what's supposed to be impossible. 3 months after the Crimson Dart incident, the Galactic Council's Education Committee gathered for an emergency session. The chamber was packed with representatives from every major spacefaring species, all focused on a presentation being given by an unlikely group of experts. "And that concludes our demonstration of quantum unified field theory as applied to cross-species technology integration," Sarah Chen finished, standing confidently before the assembled dignitaries. Behind her, holographic displays showed the revolutionary changes her team had implemented on the Crimson Dart, now a testament to human ingenuity. "Impossible," muttered a Rylaxian physicist. "The energy requirements alone should have." "Actually," Marcus O'Reilly interrupted politely, "that's a common misconception based on traditional power distribution models. If you consider energy as a quantum wave function instead of a linear flow, the mathematical principles become quite elegant. We've included the full equations in our report." The chamber erupted in overlapping conversations as species after species tried to grasp the implications. Captain Zexkar, now serving as a witness rather than a defendant, watched with quiet amusement. The past months had transformed his salvage vessel into the most studied ship in known space. Ambassador Chen, Sarah's grandmother and Earth's chief diplomatic representative, stood to address the chamber. "Honored representatives, you've seen the evidence. The Genesis Initiative incident demonstrates something we humans have long understood: the power of young minds unfettered by conventional limitations." "But they're children," protested a crystalline elder. "How can you justify sending them into space with such advanced technology?" "Are they?" Ambassador Chen gestured to the teenagers, who were now engaged in detailed technical discussions with some of the galaxy's leading scientists. "By your species' standards, perhaps. But consider what they've achieved. In less than a day of captivity, they not only took control of an alien vessel, but improved it beyond its original specifications. They turned a potential diplomatic crisis into an opportunity for unprecedented technological advancement." Captain Zexkar stepped forward to add his testimony. "When we first captured their vessel, We thought we were dealing with helpless younglings. We were wrong. These children understand principles of quantum mechanics that our best scientists are only beginning to grasp. They see possibilities where we see limitations. The Galactic Council's chief administrator, a being of pure energy contained in an environmental suit, moved to the center of the chamber. The evidence is compelling, but it raises serious questions about human educational methods. This level of technological advancement in one so young is precisely why humanity has thrived among the stars. Ambassador Chen interrupted smoothly. We don't limit our young one's potential. We nurture it, challenge it, let it grow in unexpected directions. The Genesis Initiative team isn't exceptional by human standards. They're simply what happens when you give bright minds the freedom to explore. In the following weeks, the repercussions of the incident spread throughout galactic society. The Crimson Dart, once a simple salvage vessel, became the first joint human-alien research platform, its systems a living laboratory for the teenagers' theoretical work. Captain Zexkar and his crew, rather than facing punishment, found themselves at the forefront of a new era in cross-species technological cooperation. The Genesis Initiative team's quantum field unification theories were published in leading scientific journals across known space. Their work sparked a revolution in how different species approach technological development, breaking down barriers that had existed for centuries. But perhaps the most significant change came in how the galactic community viewed humanity's younger generation. Species that had once dismissed human educational methods as reckless began sending observers to Earth's academic institutions. The sight of teenagers working on advanced theoretical physics or redesigning alien technology became less shocking and more inspirational. 6 months after the incident, Sarah Chen stood in the newly established Quantum Research Center aboard the Crimson Dart, now permanently docked at Earth's Advanced Science Academy. The ship's corridors bustled with students and scientists from dozens of species, all working together to explore the possibilities the teenagers had uncovered. "You know," she said to Captain Zexkar, who had stayed on as a research advisor, "when you first captured us, I was worried we might have to damage your ship to escape." The captain's mandibles clicked in amusement. "Instead, you improved it beyond recognition. I'm still not sure whether to thank you or fear you." "Why not both?" Sarah grinned. "That's something else we humans understand. The best discoveries often come from embracing apparent contradictions." As if to emphasize her point, a group of alien students rushed past, excitedly discussing quantum theory with their human classmates. The barriers between species, age, and technology were dissolving, replaced by shared curiosity and wonder. Admiral Chen, watching from the observation deck, smiled as she read the new plaque installed at the ship's entrance, Crimson Dart Institute for Cross-Species Innovation, where impossibility is just another theory to be tested. The galaxy had learned its lesson. Never underestimate humans, especially the young ones. They might just rewrite the laws of physics while you're not looking, and teach you something about possibility along the way. In the end, what began as a simple act of piracy had evolved into something far more significant. A reminder that the greatest adventures in space come not from what we know, but from what we're willing to imagine. And sometimes, it takes a group of teenage geniuses to show us just how much we have yet to learn.